When a man realizes he's losing you, one of the first things he does is reach out relentlessly. You'll notice his name popping up on your phone more than ever before. Maybe it starts subtly, a "Hey, how are you?" or a random meme he knows will make you laugh. But make no mistake, this is not casual. This is panic disguised as small talk. See, when he had you, he might have taken his time responding. He might have ignored your messages, left you on read, or responded with one-word answers. He knew you cared, so he got comfortable. He didn't have to put in the effort because he assumed you'd always be there, always waiting, always understanding. But the second he feels that shift, the moment he realizes you're not available like before, he panics. Suddenly he's watching your stories within seconds. He's commenting on your posts. He's texting you about things that don't even make sense. Hey, did you see that movie we talked about 6 months ago? Or I just heard that song you love and it made me think of you. It's not about the movie. It's not about the song. It's about him realizing that the silence between you is getting louder. Because here's the thing, when a man truly believes you're his, he doesn't feel the need to chase. He assumes his place in your life is secure. But the moment he senses that security slipping away, he will start grasping at anything to pull you back in. He might even pretend he's just checking in, as if he's being friendly, but deep down, it's something bigger. It's fear. The fear of you moving on, the fear of being forgotten, the fear that someone else is taking his place in your heart. And that fear will make him act out of character. He might suddenly start liking all your old photos, the ones from months ago, just to remind you he's still there. He might find a reason to text you late at night, knowing that's when emotions run high. He might even start texting you about random memories just to make you feel nostalgic, just to see if you still care. But here's where you have to be strong, because his regret is not your responsibility. When a man constantly reaches out after he's lost you, it's easy to feel flattered. It's easy to wonder, does this mean he's changed? Does this mean he finally sees my worth? But let's be clear, consistency is what matters, not desperation. Reaching out is easy. It takes 2 seconds to send a text. What takes real effort? Change, growth, acknowledging past mistakes, and doing the work to become better. So when he's reaching out, don't just listen to his words, watch his actions. Is he just trying to keep a hold on you because he hates the idea of losing? Or is he actually showing up differently, proving through actions, not just words, that he understands what went wrong? Most of the time, when a man is constantly reaching out, it's not because he's ready to be better for you, it's because he's afraid of what his life looks like without you. And that's not love, that's ego. The real test isn't whether he misses you, it's what he does about it. Because if he truly values you, he won't just send a message saying, "I miss you." He will take a step back, reflect, and put in the work to become the man you deserve. So the next time his name pops up on your screen, ask yourself this: is he reaching out because he truly sees my worth, or is he just afraid of losing access to me? Because there's a big difference. When a man starts feeling the pain of losing you, he doesn't just stop at texting or calling. That's not enough for him. He needs to be seen. He needs to remind you that he still exists in your world. And the way he does this, by showing up in places he never cared about before. Maybe you suddenly run into him at your favorite coffee shop, the one he never used to go to. Maybe he shows up at events where he knows you'll be, acting as if it's just a coincidence. But deep down, you know it's not. It's intentional. This is what happens when reality sets in for him. When he had you, he never thought twice about where you were or what you were doing. He assumed you'd always be there, always available, always waiting for him to show up. But now that you're gone, or at least pulling away, he feels that absence like a punch to the chest. He starts to wonder, where is she going? Who is she with? And the fear of the unknown eats at him. It keeps him up at night. So what does he do? He tries to insert himself back into your life. Subtly, maybe you notice he's suddenly more active in your social circles. He starts talking to your friends more, trying to stay in the loop. Maybe he starts going to the gym at the same time you do, even though he never cared about fitness before. He might even accidentally bump into you at the grocery store or park. But make no mistake, this is not a coincidence. This is his way of saying, I see you moving on, and I don't like it. Because the truth is, when he had you, he never felt the need to try this hard. He didn't have to. You were there. You were consistent. You made it easy for him to feel secure. But now he's losing control. And for a man who thought he had you figured out, that loss of control is terrifying. He's no longer sure where he stands in your life, and that uncertainty drives him to act in ways he never did before. You might notice him posting more on social media, pictures of himself at places he knows you'll notice, doing things that might catch your attention. Maybe he starts dressing differently, trying to look more like the version of himself he thinks you wanted. Maybe he suddenly takes an interest in things he once dismissed. Books you loved, music you played, hobbies you enjoyed. Why? Because he's trying to rewrite the story. He's trying to make you remember what was good between you. He wants you to see him differently, to think, maybe he's changed, maybe he finally gets it. But here's what you need to understand. Showing up is not the same as showing growth. Just because he's suddenly everywhere you are doesn't mean he's different. Just because he's making himself visible doesn't mean he's ready to be the man you deserve. You see, real change happens in silence. A man who truly wants to be better for you doesn't just pop up in places to remind you he exists. He disappears for a while. He steps back, reflects, and does the internal work to figure out why he lost you in the first place. But if he's just trying to make himself present in your life again without any real change, then all he's doing is chasing comfort. Because let's be real, when he had you, he had comfort. He had the security of knowing you were there. But when you take that away, when you remove yourself as an option, he scrambles to get back into your orbit. Not because he's ready to be better, not because he's changed, but because he's afraid of what happens when you truly move on. And that's the difference between a man who genuinely values you and a man who simply misses the convenience of you. When a man realizes he's losing you, something shifts inside him. Desperation kicks in, and one of the biggest ways it shows? Overcompensation. Suddenly he's doing all the things you once begged him to do. He's showering you with attention, making grand gestures, and trying to prove he's changed. But here's the key. It's not coming from a place of genuine transformation. It's coming from fear. This is what happens when a man who once took you for granted wakes up to the reality that you're slipping through his fingers. Before he was comfortable. He didn't have to try too hard because he thought you'd always be there. But the second he realizes you're no longer giving him the same energy, he panics. So he goes all in. Maybe he suddenly starts sending long, emotional texts, messages that sound nothing like the guy you were dealing with before. He's apologizing, reminiscing about your best moments together, telling you how much he misses you, how he finally sees what he did wrong. And for a moment, it might feel like a breakthrough. You might think, this is what I wanted all along. He finally understands. But here's where you have to be careful. Is he truly growing, or is he just reacting to the fear of losing you? Because overcompensation is not real change. It's an emotional reaction. It's survival mode. And when a man is acting from a place of fear, His actions aren't always sustainable. Let's break it down. Maybe when you were together, you always wished he would make more effort, plan dates, send sweet messages, call just to check in, but back then he never did. He gave you excuses. I'm just not good at that stuff. I don't think about those things. That's just not who I am. But now that you've pulled away, he's suddenly Mr. Romantic. He's texting good morning and good night. He's sending flowers. He's calling just to hear your voice. He's asking, can we meet up? I just want to talk. So what changed? Did he suddenly have an epiphany and realize he should have treated you better? Or is he just terrified that someone else will? Because when a man is truly ready to change, he doesn't just react to loss, he reflects on it. He doesn't just try to win you back with words. He does the deep work to understand why he lost you in the first place. Overcompensation also shows up in big promises. Maybe he's telling you, I'll do anything to fix this. Maybe he's saying, I'll go to therapy. I'll change. I'll prove it to you. Maybe he's talking about the future, about marriage, about commitment, about things he never mentioned before. But here's the thing. Where was all of this when you needed it? Why does it take losing you for him to suddenly be willing to do all the things you once cried for? Because real change isn't about a moment of desperation. It's about consistency. It's about growth over time. And if a man is only stepping up because he's afraid of losing you, then he's not actually stepping up. He's just reacting to his own discomfort. And let's talk about another form of overcompensation, trying to impress you. Maybe he suddenly starts posting about his success, his workouts, his exciting new life. Maybe he's making sure you see that he's doing better than ever. It might look like he's trying to move on, but deep down, he's hoping you'll notice. He's hoping you'll think, wow, maybe I was wrong about him. Maybe he really is changing. But here's the truth. If he was really growing, he wouldn't need to put on a performance. True change happens when no one is watching. So if he's overcompensating, if he's suddenly pouring in all this energy to get you back, you have to ask yourself, is this real or is this just his way of trying to regain control? Because a man who truly values you doesn't just fight to keep you, he fights to become the best version of himself, whether you take him back or not. When a man starts feeling the pain of losing you, he may not always say it outright, but his actions, energy, and emotional state will tell you everything. At first, he might try to act tough. He might pretend he's fine, posting pictures with friends, staying busy, and acting like his life is better than ever. But over time, the truth starts to reveal itself. He's not okay. One of the biggest signs? He's emotionally all over the place. One day, he's silent, completely MIA. No texts, no calls, no sign of him. The next day, he's blowing up your phone, reminiscing about the good times, telling you how much he misses you. Then suddenly he's angry. Maybe he lashes out, accusing you of things that don't make sense. He might even try to make you feel guilty, saying things like, I can't believe you moved on so fast. I guess I never really mattered to you. Wow, so this is how much I meant to you. And here's what you need to understand. This emotional roller coaster is not about you. It's about him struggling to process what he's feeling. Because when a man realizes he's losing you, he goes through different emotional stages. Stage 1, denial. At first, he convinces himself that this is just temporary, that you'll come back, that you're just upset and need space. He might tell himself, she just needs time, she'll realize she still wants me. So he waits, he expects you to be the one to reach out first. When you don't, reality starts sinking in. Stage 2, panic and regret. Now the fear kicks in. He starts thinking about all the ways he messed up. He replays moments in his head, the times you asked for more effort, the times he brushed off your feelings, the moments he took you for granted. He starts realizing that this isn't just a phase. You're slipping away for real. This is when he starts reaching out more, sending late night texts, asking mutual friends about you, trying to insert himself back into your life in small ways. But if you're still keeping your distance, that's when the emotional instability really starts showing. Stage 3, overcompensation. This is where he tries to prove he's better. He might start hitting the gym harder, posting pictures of himself, looking his best, making sure you see that he's thriving. Maybe he suddenly starts working harder on his career, chasing success, showing off achievements. But deep down, none of it feels as good as he wants it to, because no amount of external success can fill the emptiness of losing someone who truly cared. Stage 4, emotional breakdown. At some point, he can't hold it together anymore. Maybe he stops showing up like he used to. Maybe he withdraws, looking exhausted, worn down, not himself. He might start partying or drinking more, using distractions to numb the pain. He might isolate himself, pulling away from friends and avoiding conversations about you. He might start reaching out with deeper, more emotional messages, ones that show just how much this is affecting him. And for some men, this is the moment where they finally wake up. Because here's the truth. Losing a good woman is a life-changing experience. At first, you might think he just misses the comfort, the routine, the attention. But over time, he starts realizing that it's deeper than that. He doesn't just miss you, he misses the version of himself that he got to be when he was with you. Because when a woman loves a man, she elevates him. She pushes him to be better. She gives him the kind of love and support that makes life richer, deeper, more meaningful. And when that's gone, he feels the void. This is why some men spiral after losing a good woman. Not because they're weak, but because they finally understand they had something rare and they let it slip away. And once that realization hits, there's no escaping the pain.